All right, today's episode number 1207. Topic title for today, pay any price. Go ahead and write that down, pay any price. I love this. First of all, I want you guys to put yourself in a position where you can take some notes because there's really a three-part formula for success, whether that's your job, the business. Number one, if possible, come in a little bit earlier. Come in a little bit earlier. That could be 15 minutes. It could be 30 minutes. It could be an hour. And I want to tell you guys what I actually did. I remember when I was doing phone sales, that's where I first started. Didn't actually start till 9:30 in the morning, but guess what time I showed up? 7:30 in the morning. They said, why the heck are you here so early? I mean, they had to open the doors because I wanted to call the East Coast before they went to work. And guess what? I was usually the top salesperson in that company. Now, coming in a little earlier, working a little harder, that's number two. Work a little harder. You can always do more than you think that you can, okay? And number three is to stay a little later. So coming a little earlier, working a little harder, and staying a little later. And again, this has to do with your business as well, not just your job alone, okay? So you can come into work 1 hour earlier. Maybe for you, it's 15 minutes earlier. But if you come in earlier and you come in before anyone else arrives, that's going to make a difference. And I realize some of you have restrictions. You're not allowed to come in early. They don't even allow you to come in the building, clock in, and so forth. I get that. It's the principle that I'm talking about. So what you do is you use that time to plan and organize your day. Start it on your most important task for the day. So I always like to write down basically what are my priorities. So if I have my top 3 to 5 things, what are the things are the absolute priorities? So I've got that written down every day. I'm planning what I'm going to do in advance for the day. So what are the top priorities for your day? So you want to make sure that whatever time that your boss comes to work, you make sure that you are working before they arrive if you're allowed to do so. See, I always used to show up before my boss came to work, and guess what? I ended up making more than my boss did. In fact, I ended up actually working myself out of a job, which ended up being a positive thing. Okay. Number two is work a little harder. I'm going to tell you guys right now to not waste any time. And I'm going to tell you, don't waste time chatting with your coworkers. Okay. Now I know that some of you, this is going to be a really hard thing because you're just used to wasting a lot of time chatting with your coworkers, right? You may be the odd person who's not out constantly chatting with your coworkers, but listen, okay, MIT did a study. They found that 91 minutes a day is what has actually worked for an employee on an 8-hour day, and they clock 8 hours, right? So this is the one thing that I did. I worked through lunchtime. I actually would bring my lunch with me if I had to, or go buy it and bring it back. You work through lunchtime if you're allowed to, and that could mean that if you're on the job, you're working this as a business, that you're working on your business during lunchtime, even if you have to go off site so that you can get to the top, so that you can stay at the top, do what you got to do. So if there was a lunch block of an hour, I take 15 minutes. I eat my food and continue to, either work on my work or work on the business. Okay. Work on your trading, whatever it is that you're doing. I was working through lunch. Okay. Now, third, you work an hour later than your coworkers. Again, if you're allowed to, it could be 15 minutes. It could be 30 minutes. It could be a whole hour, but you work an hour later. They leave at 5, you leave at 5:30. You leave at 6 o'clock, whatever it takes, that's what you do. That's what you're going to do to succeed. See, when you come in 1 hour earlier, and that means for your business as well, if you show up an hour earlier than you would normally do, you work through lunch, you work up to an hour later, guess what starts to happen? You're going to add 3 full productive hours to your day. 3 full productive hours to your day. And guess what? If you're working 5 days a week, that's 15 extra hours that you get to work, which means that you're going to get promoted, which means that one day you're not even going to need that job if you don't want one. You see, guys, I personally believe that to succeed faster at work, you use what's called the 40+ formula. And what the formula says is, and you can tell me that where you're going to be 5 years from today by looking at the number of quality hours that you put in excess of 40 hours a week. And I'm going to say that again. Most people work at least 40 hours a week. The question is, how many hours beyond the 40 are you going to put in? See, I told my kids, it's what you do outside of practice that makes the difference. It's not the 2 hours of karate or the 2 hours of soccer, cheerleading, tumbling, all the different sports that they have and so forth. It's what you do outside of those hours that's going to make you an elite athlete. Same with business. What are you doing outside of the hours of your work? If all you do is put in the regular 40 hours a week that everybody else is going to put in, all you would do is survive. But I know that you guys want to thrive. You don't want to survive. You want to thrive, right? So it's what you do outside of those 40 hours. It's when you put in more than 40 hours a week that you're going to give yourself an advantage over most of the other people inside of your company and in the business. So you've got to make it a habit to do more than what you are paid to do. I remember Jim Rohn, he talked about this very thing. He said, you've got to do more than what they pay you to do. And one day you're going to get paid what you're worth. He said, I'm working harder on me than I do my job. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't work hard on your job. Of course, work hard on your job, do everything that you can. Work hard on your business, but you work harder on yourself than you do your job. Make it a habit to do more than what you're paid to do at your job. Like some people, they're working just hard enough not to get fired, and the boss will just pay you just enough to not have you quit. Now think about it. As for you working on you, it's an investment into your future success. Think about it this way. You are literally investing yourself into your future success. Let's be real. The highest people in America, anywhere, if you guys want a real stat, the highest people in America in every field, they work 50 to 60 hours a week. If you guys are out there and you're saying, you know what, Brandon, I'm working super hard. I'm putting in 40 hours. I'm thinking to myself, like, that's it? Like, I mean, the highest people that are paid in this country, they work 50 to 60 hours a week. If you look at the average self-made millionaire, and you can include this business, they work 59 hours a week on average, 59 hours. And I can tell you, I definitely maximize those hours that I've put in over the years. I can tell you that I've put in more hours than most people put in. And as an example, I probably put in more hours in the morning than some people put in their whole day. So if you look at it like this, it's equal to 12-hour days, 6, 10-hour days. Most successful people, the beginning of their careers, they work 6 days a week, sometimes even 7. Okay, just to kind of get things off the ground in the beginning, especially if you're an attorney, a doctor, a dentist, a network marketer, whatever it is that you do. So I want to break this down so that we can close this out and you have the details. In order to reap a great harvest, you've got to sow a lot of seeds in the springtime. So I want to give you the formula for success that has worked for me. Number 1, show up earlier. Number 2, work a little harder. And number 3, work a little later. Okay. I have found if you are willing to do this simple strategy consistently, you're going to be better off in life. You're going to get to the point where you can do whatever it is that you desire to do. That's where I've gotten to. I was willing to do what others weren't in order to do and have today what others don't. And I hope that you're willing to do the same. And with that, I hope you guys have an absolutely amazing day and an amazing week. And if you like this message, go ahead and drop inside of the chat box or the comments an amen. And I will talk to you guys on the next session. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.